What is up, guys? I'm Triple B from the Triple B Hunter. Today we're going to be talking about my 2025 Rocky Mountain bull elk I was able to harvest during the 2025 Modern Firearm General Eastern Washington season. Now, let's get into it. So this whole story starts back in 2024. It was the last day of modern mule deer season on the east side. And I was hunting this drainage looking for mule deer, and I hiked up to this glassing knob. Got up there late, about 2 o'clock, and was getting ready to take a little siesta. Been glassing for an hour, hadn't seen anything, and all of a sudden, I seen elk start walking out of this drainage about a mile and a half up the draw. And so I was like, oh shit, all right, there's elk in here. So I threw the spotter on him, and I just started glassing. And these elk just keep coming. I mean, elk after elk after elk after elk. I believe I saw 12 ranch bulls and 11 spikes or small bulls, right? They're about a mile and a half away. I didn't have the best spot scope at the time, but I could swear I seen probably close to 80 elk feed through this drainage. So, I'm like, all right, well, we're going in here to hunt elk, me and my dad. Called him up. It's like, hey, Dad, just hunted this area. I saw like 80 elk in here. We're going in here Saturday because open Eastern Washington Modern Firearm for elk starts the following Saturday. He said, all right, let's do it. Yeah. So it's about a mile and a half hike up the canyon on a trail, and then from the trail I went about a mile up this ridge, which the ridge is not fun. We're going to call it Hell Ridge because it sucks going up. And it goes up and then comes up and goes up. So anywho, Saturday rolls around, 2024, and me and my dad went in there, and it's foggy, and it's rainy, and it's just miserable. And we hike up in there, and we're getting up in there, and we hit the ridge, and we made about 2 knobs, because the first knob you can see from the trail, and then the second knob you can't see the trail anymore. So we make it to the second knob, and my he's like, all right, I need to take a break. Hopefully this fog will kind of roll through. We couldn't see nothing, so we take a seat underneath this old like snag tree that was laying there, trying to get out of the rain and whatnot, which didn't really work. We're there, I don't know, 10 minutes. All of a sudden, there's elk ears walking up the draw, because the way this Hell Ridge works is it goes up, but then it kind of like, does like that type thing. But there's other draws that go down into this big drain because it's a ridge that comes up, and there's it's a big canyon that goes back out, right? And so there was elk coming up one of these finger draws, and I'm like, Dad, there's elk right here. And he's, and there's a 5x5 and like 6 cows standing right there, like 12 yards from us, and we're just like super ecstatic. I mean, we're like kids on Christmas, we can get elk right here. And so I was thinking around my phone, trying to get clip footage of it and whatnot, and the elk were like, you shouldn't be here, or I shouldn't be here. And they boogied. They took off back down into the drain and up out of our lives. Gone. I mean, it was fine. We didn't know where they went. So, and that was that day. And so the next day, I was like, well, I don't really want to go back in there. We couldn't see nothing. It was foggy. It sucks. It's called Hell Ridge for a reason. Let's go in the other side of the canyon, up UV Canyon, and see if we can't see anything in there. Well, we got up there a little late. It was like, 20 minutes after daylight. There's already people hiked in the trail. Like, we'll see what we can see. We hike out the trail about, I don't know, half mile, 3/4 of a mile. And the trail makes a bend. And we hit that bend, and you could see into this drainage. And as soon as we could see into that drainage, there's elk standing right there, 654 yards. I'm like, Dad, there's elk right there. And he's like, yeah. So we sit down, grab a spot and scope out. There's 2 spike in this little herd, probably about, I don't know, 9 cows or so. And we're hunting a spike unit, not a true spike unit. So, as long as they don't have an antler point above 4 inches, we're good. But they're both just spikes. And so I set my rifle up, get behind the rifle. I'm really comfortable. I shoot out to 700 yards all the time, so I'm rock solid. I'm good. I know I'm good. And I'm just excited because there's a bull. I'm about to shoot it. This is my second bull, right, that I was going to shoot at. This Rosie little 3-point that I shot back in 21 was my first elk, and I shot him at 500 yards with my 270 Winchester. And so I'm excited. I'm about to shoot an elk. And I just jerked that trigger, just boom! And I shot right in front of him. Just right in front of me. He reared up, took off down the canyon. We went and tracked and looked for blood and followed their tracks halfway down the canyon. Nothing. Nothing at all. My dad watched the whole thing. He knew I didn't hit him. That was a bummer. That was 2024. So 2025, I'm like, we're going back in Hell's Ridge. We're going back up there. And I brought my buddy Devin with me. So it's me, my dad, my buddy Devin. I'm like, we're going back up Hell's Ridge. We're going to shoot 3 bulls out of there. And it's going to be hell. But it's going to be so worth it. 3 bulls down in a shit Sammy. I'm in. Let's go. So this year, 2025, opening day, general season, east side, Mountain Firearm. Me, my dad, my buddy Devin, we're hiking in to go up Hell's Ridge. And, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be stepping off the trail because about like 1.5 miles hike out the trail before you step off the trail and go up Hell's Ridge. I want to be at bottom of Hell's Ridge at daylight. Me and my buddy Devin, we got there about 15 minutes after daylight. We start hiking up the ridge. My dad didn't want to sweat. He didn't want to walk fast. Take his time. He knew I was going to run up the ridge anyways. He'll get there when he gets there. So he's back on the trail. Me and my buddy Devin are hiking up the ridge. We get up to this first knob on Hell's Ridge, and we start hearing this noise. So I'm like, what the hell is that? My buddy Devin's like, is that a bird? And I was like, maybe. Now, take for granted, I don't hear worth a shit. I'm like, half deaf from this ear, don't hear very good out of this ear. Makes hunting really hard because I can't hear. Deer could be like 30 yards, wouldn't even know it's running away from me. Can't hear, right? Anywho, he's like, that's gotta be a bird. I'm like, maybe. When we get up on top of this first little knob, right? And we're sitting there and we're listening. I could hear it now. And it's like, the noise is really close together. Like it's boo, 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 right? And he's like, is that an elk? Maybe. But then I was like, no, that can't be an elk. An elk don't, it don't ewe that close together. Like, it wouldn't be like, ew, ew, ew. It wouldn't do that, right? Like, no, that's a cougar, dude. That's gotta be a cougar. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's a cougar. And so he's like, all right. So I'm like, well, let's sneak around to this, on this next knob and see if we can see up into this knob. And he's like, okay, because I have a cougar tag in my pocket. So we just start sneaking around this knob trying to see into this next little, drainage. Like I said, it kind of comes up and then there's like little finger drainages that come off these knobs. Well, all of a sudden, here comes a cat running up the drain in front of me, like 20 yards. I got my rifle, I pull it out, boom, touch off, smack that cat. It starts running down the hill, and I jump on a radio. Dad, I just shot a cougar. And he's like, what? No way. So he comes, barreling up the ridge, breaking his heart out because that ridge sucks. Me and Devin, we start running down after the cat, find it laying there, still alive, sadly. Put one in its head, just boom, lights out.
And all of a sudden we just see her boom. I was like, oh, there's a cat. Pull the I didn't even know where it went. Pull my scope cover off, put it on her. Boom! I think I hit her shoulder because she ran down here about 200 yards. Laying here, we just killed her. Holy shit, bro.
Oh yeah, dude.
Let's go, dude. Cougar.
Yes, sir.
Woo, doggy. How about that?
Pick her up real quick.
Dude, fuck yeah. I shot her eyeball out.
Did you?
And her leg broken.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. How about that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Nice little kitty.
You can stop recording. Oh my God. I fucking blew its brains.
Which, come and find out, a 270 Winchester at like 20 yards in the head does some damage. All right. I definitely messed that up because now my cougar skull is like half a skull. Sucks on my part, but I'm gonna do a full body mount, and the bullet hole's right there in the hide. The taxidermist's gonna leave that. It's gonna look really cool. But one of those things of double back on what your shot placement. Lessons learned. So that was our Saturday. We skinned it out. Got the hide all taken care of. We took all the cougar meat, which I don't know if you guys ever had cougar meat, but it tastes like 10 times better than pork. Like, I don't know. It just does. It's nuts to me. So we took all that, tenderloins, heart, back straps, all the quarters. Took, the hide, of course, the head, of course. Packed that out back to the truck. I took the hide. My dad took the skull and the burger bag, and then my buddy Devin took all the quarters. And so we got back to the truck, went back to camp, bullshitted at camp, hung out, and we went to this cut that I knew about, that I seen some elk in last year for the evening, but we didn't pick anything up that evening. So the next day, Sunday, I'm like, let's go out, UV Canyon, where I shot at that bull in 24. Well, we hike out this trail about 2 miles, and my dad took the trail, and me and Devin went up over the ridge, because you can get up on the ridge and you can see up into this bowl you can't see from the trail. So I'm like, all right, we'll do that. Well, when we're coming out of this bowl across the canyon about 800 yards, there was elk. And there was a 6x6 and I think 18 cows with that 6x6. And I don't know if they saw me or they saw my dad, because my dad was on the trail up below us. But they were working their way up over the next ridge, and me and Devin watched them in the spotter, no spikes, no nothing, just a nice 6x6 and 18 cows. Nothing we can do about that. No point in chasing them. We can't shoot them, So we hiked to the next ridge, but lower down, because they were up at the top, and we wanted to see if there was anything else coming up the bottom, because 2024, we seen elk in the bottom of that second drain. They were just cows. So that happened, and we hiked like 10 miles that day, and that was about it for the opening weekend of general season 2025 Eastern Washington elk. Now fast forward to the last weekend, and the next weekend, the last weekend of Modern Firearm General Eastern Washington elk. Me and my dad are going back over east to hunt Rocky Mountain elk. So I let him know. I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you over there Friday. I got off work, get over there like 2. I went and hit this timber patch that I knew about. Found some fresh bear poop, found some fresh elk sign, didn't see nothing. But we didn't know where we wanted to camp, because we didn't want to camp where we camped the weekend before, because the opening weekend, we went in there Friday. Season started on Saturday. And so we were able to back into this spot with the trailer and whatnot. And my dad's like, I don't want to do that in the dark. I was like, okay, I'll go find a different spot. So it was dark, right? And I just was looking for a spot to pull in the camper, nice and easy, up in the woods, right? We're dry camping. And I come around this corner, and there's elk standing on the road in the perfect camp spot. And I was like, Okay, so I stopped. Just cows, right? They ran into the timber. I turned around, backed out of there, went back down to service, waited for my dad. He showed up at like 11, and so we boogied back up in there to where we wanted to camp. And when we come around the corner, there's elk standing in the campsite again. And I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, that's great. Let's set up camp. So we set up camp, blah, blah, blah. Next morning, we get up. I'm hunting out of camp. My dad's going up top because there's a drain that we're camped on the other side of. He's going to go up and come in from the top. I'm going to go on the bottom, right? Perfect. I start hiking out of camp, start hiking up the ridge. I'm hiking, I'm looking, listening, getting up in there. And all of a sudden, come around the corner, boom, 2 cows standing there 40 yards. Oh, all right. They kind of just bust off, meet up with like 6 more cow, do whatever. I kind of sneak around, see them, cow, nothing. I bumped them like 6 more times, trying to see if there was a bull in there or a spike in there, that I didn't see. Just cows. I lost their track. I circle back around. I'm now headed down the ridge or the draw that I was coming up. And I'm just, looking, taking my time, not trying to bump anything super hard, just trying to find it. And I come around this little bend, and there they are, 40 yards feeding, 3 cow. Don't even know I'm there, right? So I lay down in the trail. They're feeding, I have no idea, wind's in my face, it's great. Get my rifle set up, in case a spike walks out, I'm ready to go. I'm laying in the trail not even 37 seconds after I'm laid out, got my rifle going. So it's probably been 2 minutes at most. And all of a sudden, these elk spook. Just, I'm like, what the heck? 2 elk run 12 yards from me off to my right. 4 elk run to the left. They circle back, and they come walking 8 feet from me. I kid you not. I wish I would have got it on film. These elk walked 8 feet from me. I thought they were going to step on me. I thought I was going to have to get up and be like, well, don't step on me. So they walked by me, never knew I was there, never, nothing. They just walked by me and just kept walking. And they went over down into this drain, and I get up trying to, follow them again, and all of a sudden I see my dad walk in my direction. You just bumped these elk. And he's like, no, I just seen elk. They ran out. And I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm laying right here in this trail. They had these elk 40 yards. I was waiting to see if a spike would walk out to shoot one. And he's like, oh, well. And I was like, yeah, they're all cow, though. I watched them walk by me. I bumped them 6 other times, So, all right. So that was our Saturday, the last weekend. And Sunday morning, or Sunday, he's like, what do you want to do for Sunday, my dad? I was like, I don't know. Let's go back up UV Canyon where I shot that bull last year, and let's see what we can do. Right? This is 2025 now. He's like, all right, let's do it. So we get up in there bright and squirrely. I mean, we're going up in there about 6 inches of snow, right? Getting up in there. We get in there before sunrise, and we hike out about 3/4 of a mile to that corner where you could see down into that bull in that draw where I shot at that bull last year and missed. And when we looked at the weather, it said that Sunday was supposed to be foggy. So we had about 30 minutes of clear weather before we saw the fog coming in. We're like, oh, this is not good. But the fog was up high, right? Like you're still seeing the bottom, but it was coming in. So we're like, all right, well, we're not going to go any further. So let's go, down into the bottom and see what we can do in the bottom. All right, so we start walking back, and we make it about 70 yards. And the way this trail works is on this bend, you could see down into this drain right here, but, we couldn't see behind us. Well, we're hiking, and my dad's in front of me, and I'm like, Dad, there's elk right there. I seen 2 cow 254 yards from me off the trail in this drain that we couldn't see into that because they were behind us. So I was like, all right. So my dad is like going to drop his pack, and we're going to sneak down. I wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to see what the elk were. right? So I sneak down to this kind of edge because the trail is up here and it's kind of flat and it dips down into the drain, right? Well, I get to that edge of that drain, pine tree on my right, a little tamarack on my left, right at the edge looking down in this drain. See about 13 cow, right? Cow over here, cow over here. The closest cow is about 127 yards from me. Furthest cow is probably about 160 yards spread out in this drain, right? There's little pockets of timber, right? Little, couple tree here, a couple tree there. So I'm glassing, trying to see if there's, bulls in there and whatnot. And I knew my dad had made it down behind me, but he told me he could only see like the top two elk because they're, up on this drain, or up on this ridge feeding down into this drain. So I didn't not aware of this, but he moved around to the other side of the pine tree so he could get a better look at these elk, which I was unaware of that. So I'm glassing. It only probably took about 5 minutes or so. And all of a sudden I see a body of an elk standing in, those trees. And I'm like, that's a new elk. I have yet to see what his head looks like or her head or whatever. And sure enough, he steps out and it's just bull sitting right there. And I seen his one side and I'm like, what? Am I seeing that? Is that a one-horned elk? What am I looking at? And sure enough, my eyeballs did not lie. There he is. And so I'm turning around to tell my dad that that's a bull, and he's not there. And I'm like, what? Where'd he go? My dad wanted to shoot a Rocky Mountain. He has yet to shoot a Rocky Mountain. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm shooting this thing. And get my rifle set up, bipod out, whatnot, dialed, ready to go. And I put it right behind his shoulder, and I just boom! And I just smoked him right behind the shoulder, through both lungs. He hunches up real bad, just, His cows the cows that were with him took off. There was 13. They stopped. He starts tumbling down, makes about 20 yards, and tips over dead. Dead bull. I turn around. No, I just shot a bull. And he's like, yeah, I know. You had about 30 seconds before I was going to shoot it. We both had elk tabs, obviously. And so then it's just, cheers and high fives from there and bull down, making phone calls, calling the lady, whatnot.
Well, I just shot this bull. A little spike my nub. Still got velvet on him, which is real weird. But how about that?
And then, we got down there, quartered them out, did the goblet method, heart, liver, back straps, tenderloins, the head, keep the head out there. Well, packing out my bull, what do you think? Did you pack light?
Oh, yeah.
Real light. Here we go. But that's the story of my 2025 bull elk and how it all played out. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.